Hi, thank you so much for having me here at First United Methodist Church. You may know I'm Heidi Graham, and I am president of the local League of Women Voters. And while I'm not a member of First United Methodist Church, we certainly have a long relationship with the church. Thanks so much to Kathy Pollard for inviting me. We've been friends for 20 years since our boys were very, very little, and I lived across the street from her. Um, my son also is a member of Troop 132, the Boy Scout troop that utilizes and is sponsored by the church. And so I have a special love in my heart for the church. He just received his Eagle Scout, I think about 24 hours before his 18th birthday. Pretty typical. So anyway, so I am very excited to come to you and kind of give you an idea of what League of Women Voters is, what we do. So I will share my screen and then go ahead and give you my presentation. And then at the end, so we'll have some Q&A. So again, we are the local League of Women Voters. So we cover Arlington Heights, Mount Prospect, Buffalo Grove, Elk Grove Village, Prospect Heights, and Wheeling. Essentially, we cover all of High School District 214. Rolling Meadows is not technically in our league. Technically, it's in the Palatine League, but we have a very strong relationship with High School District 214. And so we do cover Rolling Meadows High School. And so we kind of, the Palatine League and our league does a little sharing of Rolling Meadows as a community. And we have both of us have a good relationship with that community. So anyway, thank you to the First United Methodist Church for having me here today. So we were founded over 100 years ago. We just celebrated our 101st anniversary. The League of Women Voters was founded on Valentine's Day, February 14th of 1920, just before the passage of suffrage, just before the 19th Amendment. And the goal of the League of Women Voters was to make sure that women knew that they now had the right to vote and to hopefully become engaged. That first year where all women were afforded the right to vote, and I should edit that to say all white women were afforded the right to vote, only about 45% voted. I'd love to be able to sit here today and say that that number has changed significantly, but it's not. This last election, we did have record voter turnout. However, on average, our voter turnout for our national election hovers around 55%, maybe a little higher, depending on where you are. And then here locally, in our last local election for Arlington Heights, I am sad to say that we had fewer than 10% show up to vote. So, and that's really where your local league comes in. How can we get more people locally involved? Because it's those local elections that determine so much of our daily lives. You turn on the lights, you send your kids to school, you drive your car down the road. It's pretty much local politics. You turn on the water. That local politics is running all of that in your life. So really important that we get more people out to vote. Now, we are a political organization, but we're nonpartisan. And I work really hard, and our league as a whole works really hard to make sure that we maintain that nonpartisan status. We have never in our 100 years endorsed a political candidate or a political party, but we are political. So, but I like to make sure people understand that distinction. And I do work hard, and our league works hard to make sure that we get all people to the table to try to have conversation surrounding these tough topics. You'll see me at the Republican dinner every year. You'll see me at Democratic luncheons. You'll see me at Green Party events. We are really working hard to make sure that we have those relationships with all political parties. So our motto is we defend democracy and empower voters. And then our vision is that we envision a democracy where every person has the desire, the right, the knowledge, and the confidence to participate. That's really important, that those words, every person. Not every man, not every woman, but every person, regardless of gender, gender identity, nation of origin, ethnicity, that every person who becomes a citizen and has the right to vote in our country has that confidence to participate. We do believe in the power of women to create a more perfect democracy. That's not to say we don't include men. We're a 100-year-old organization, so we were named 101 years ago, League of Women Voters, but we are open to all genders and gender identities. In fact, some of our most valued members are men. So this slide here kind of shows like what you get from your membership. We are a membership-based organization. You typically join at the local level. That's us, Arlington Heights, Mount Prospect, Buffalo Grove, Prospect Heights, Wheeling, Elk Grove Village. It's taken me a long time to be able to rattle off all those names at once in one breath. But your membership also includes what we refer to as inter-league organizations. So what's an ILO? What's an interleague organization? Well, the two that we belong to, and there are many across the country, but the two that we belong to here locally are the Upper Mississippi River Region, or UMR, and the Lake Michigan Region, LMR. So what do those two do? Well, both of those have to do with the environment. And so the Upper Mississippi River Region, that's our watershed. So again, how we get our water and how we feed our bodies. And the other one is the Lake Michigan region. And that is where we directly get our water from. So both of those areas are super important to us. We have to protect our watershed as well as our main source of water. And all of the leagues that surround those two areas then can work in conjunction as part of this interleague organization. We're also a member of the Cook County League. Though part of our league in Buffalo Grove borders into Lake County. So we do have members that are in Lake County, but we primarily serve Cook County. And so that's where we do a lot of our work. There is a Lake County League, not quite as strong as the Cook County League. And, but you can be a member of our organization, participate in Lake County, etc. And then, of course, there's the Illinois League, and then finally the National League. And the idea is that each one of those leagues then is government watchdog and lobbyists in that particular area. So my job is to watch and communicate and lobby and have relationships with all those local governments that are served in these communities. And then in Illinois, they do all of Illinois, and then the national, they would do all the national. But your membership includes all of that. We have a basic membership fee of $80, but we are one of the few few leagues in the country that has a 0 membership rate. We call it our sponsored level, and we don't ask why. And the reason for that is for equity. Because if I wanted to join a group like League, and I think there's a lot of great reasons to be involved in our league. Obviously, I'm president and I'm very passionate about what we do. But if I, for whatever reason, couldn't afford it, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be comfortable saying it and would probably just not be a member. And so we want to take away all of those barriers to membership. And that's a big one. So we have varying levels of membership. So I can't afford it, so I am at the activist level, and so I get some free stuff with my membership, but I also know that I'm sponsoring other people's memberships. The main thing that we do here at the League of Women Voters is what we refer to as voter services. And it's all of those things that get people to vote. So not just GOTV, get out the vote, but voter registration. You can't vote if you're not registered to vote. And this is one of the things Kathy had wanted me to speak to, was about how does League protect voting rights? And I will say here in Illinois, to be quite honest, we don't do a lot because we don't have to. There are very few barriers to voting here in Illinois. We have early voting, we have day of, you can register and vote on the same day. You can mail in your vote. There are just a lot of ways that you can vote and cast your ballot here in Illinois. Most people don't know this, and this is probably what we do, is we make sure people understand their rights around voting. So for instance, let's say you have a barrier to, physically to be able to get into your polling location. They actually have to bring the to your car, and you can cast your vote from your car. Not very many people know that. But so that's just one of the things. So the other thing is that, so I was a personal trainer for a young woman for years who had both physical disabilities as well as mental disabilities. And she would have a very difficult time managing the poll. So I went with her the first time she voted. I sat next to her. I didn't tell her how to vote. Now that is something you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to tell someone how to vote, but they can certainly sit next to me. And I sat next to her and we talked about it. And she told me which person she wanted to vote for. And on those cases where she said, I don't know, then we just skipped it and went on. But she cast a nearly complete ballot, and that's perfectly fine. My father has dementia and Parkinson's, same thing. My mom can go with him and help him vote. So we also do candidate forums. There is a distinction between a candidate forum and a debate. And what we do are candidate forums, where everybody has the same amount of time to speak, and we take questions from the audience, and we're pretty strict in what we and how we run them so that it is unbiased and fair. We also started a few years ago utilizing youth for our moderators. And I'm pretty clear about why I do that. One, it gives youth an opportunity to participate. And two, everybody behaves better when there's a student involved. Our complaints and misbehavior to put it nicely, at our candidate forums went to nearly zero once we started using students. So I'm really proud of that. We also do a program called Stroll to the Polls. I'm big on stealing programs from other leagues that I think, if we think that they're very effective, and this is one that's very effective. It took us quite a while to put together. It took us 2 years to put it together, but we have done it, and now we plan to have it on a regular basis. Basically, we utilized about 200 students across all 7 District 214 campuses to go door to door to about 6,000 homes with specific voting information. And so we figure we were able to target well over 12,000 voters. And in the end, we had about a 1.5% increase in voter turnout in those districts. So I'm really proud of that. And 1.5% may sound like not much, but this is a marathon. It's not a sprint, and every little bit counts. So we'll keep doing that. And that's one of the things that we know at League, is that we have to just keep trudging along, and we just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. One of my mottos in life is progress, not perfection. And as long as we're making progress, we're just going to keep on going. We also do mock elections. Again, I really believe that if you get kids involved, you will engage them longer in their life. And all the studies do show that when a student participates in a mock election, they are far more likely to vote as adults. So we've done them as young as a couple, 3, 4 years old. What's your favorite storybook? But a lot of times we go into the schools and do them, sort of a modified ballot, and let them cast a vote. We give them stickers and really try to make it fun. We have typically done these in person. And you can see from this photo here, we were in person, but this last year we had to pivot, and it was virtual, but because we just started a relationship with District 21, which covers Wheeling and Buffalo Grove. It's the largest school district that we cover behind. So District 25 is the next largest school district, but District 21 is larger. And we were able to do mock elections in every single one of their schools. Really proud of that. And then finally, get out the vote, GOTV. We did things this last fall where we went to Walmart. We put flyers under people's windshield wipers. We put signs out, anything we can think of to try to get more people involved. This spring, we've gone to apartment complexes. Traditionally speaking, apartment complexes have lower voter turnout. So because it's a transient population. And then finally, another program that we stole from the Naperville League is our birthday envelopes. They do theirs a little differently than we do, but we don't all have to be the same. We cover both District 214 and St. Viator. It's about 3,500 students that will become old enough to vote either in their junior or senior year of high school. And what we do is we put it together these envelopes. They have a pen in it that say the vote is mightier than the pen, a sticker, some candy. I'm not stupid. I know how to get the kids to pay attention to what I've got in there, and that's give them some candy. And then, of course, a QR code with all their voting information. We know we don't need to print everything out for kids. They're not going to read it anyway, but we give them a QR code that directs them to the website. They're going to go. They're very technologically savvy, and we just need to meet them where they are. So again, we reach about 3,500 students every year doing this. We had to pivot a little bit this year with COVID, but we were able to still reach all of those students. And it's one of Stroll to the Polls and birthday envelopes are two of our most expensive projects. So birthday envelopes cost us about $3,500. It's about $1 per student. And then Stroll to the Polls, depending on whether it's a primary or a general election, will cost us anywhere from $1,500 to probably closer to $6,000 or $7,000. We've never spent that much money yet, but we are anticipating as we grow this program that it will cost us that much money. Now, talking about those membership fees, and you're like, oh, well, you charge $80 a member, so you must be good with finances. Well, actually, we pay out almost all of our membership payment to those parent organizations. We really only keep about $10 here locally. The rest goes to our parent organizations and what we call per member payments. So we do have to fundraise. It's a very important part of what we do. So I said earlier, we're a political organization. So we do all that stuff. That's obviously political, trying to get people to vote. But we also have what we call an impact on issues. League studies issues. Typically speaking, they'll study an issue for a year, and then they'll vote. All the members will vote, and they'll decide, okay, this is our stance on this particular issue. And then that allows us, based on that consensus vote, that gives us permission to take action on that. If a particular piece of legislation comes up, then we can direct our members to write letters or make phone calls. That's called a TFA, a time for action. And it's about 100-page document. That's all of the issues that we cover. So each year we survey our members and we ask them, okay, we can't be all things to all people. I usually use the analogy of an elephant. So there are a lot of animals that are endangered. I cannot worry about all of them. So I worry about the elephant. The elephant is my favorite animal. If you come into my house, I have elephant, literally, they're everywhere. They're in every little nook and cranny. I just hide them everywhere. I love them, right? I can't worry about them all. I can't worry about the giraffe and the tiger and the whatever. I cannot. I can only worry about one. So as a league, we try to focus our plan. So we survey our members, and this year, based on two things, the survey, and then who do we have willing to lead? We're a 100% volunteer organization. So my league can say, oh, I want you to focus on um, the gun violence prevention. But if I don't have anybody who's willing to step up and lead that cause, I'm a little stuck. So we have diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we are doing quite a bit of work in this field. The environment, we have at least 10 members that are very active. We cover water, trees, land use, air quality, all of those things. So we have education, a lot of education around that, and then mental health and healthcare. So those are our three focus. Behind that was gun violence prevention. You'll never hear me say gun control, except to say you'll never hear me say gun control. And the reason is words are really important. My dad, I grew up a military brat. My dad was a career Air Force officer, West Point graduate. If I said to my dad, hey, Dad, let's talk about gun control, that's the end. Conversation over. I'm not going to have a conversation with my dad. He believes too strongly in the Second Amendment. And I too believe in the Second Amendment. However, if I say gun violence prevention, now all of a sudden my dad and I can have a conversation. Sorry, I've got a little background noise. I've got they're doing the yard right outside the window here. So anyway, so that's I think something that our league could be doing much more work on, and we have done some work on it, but not anything consistent, because I don't have anyone within my league willing to lead it. So basically, once somebody comes to me and says, this is my passion, I want to lead it, then we say as a board, we say, okay, yeah, what resources do you need? Let's do it. Go for it. But we do need those leaders. We have other issues where we may act because we have a stance on it. One is fair maps, electoral college, campaign finance reform, gun violence prevention, reproductive rights, but that also falls really under healthcare, education, criminal justice. We had a student this year, a junior in high school, who led our consensus update. I was really proud of that. And then finally, affordable housing. And if you live in Arlington Heights, you've probably seen me in particular. I've spoken on at several board meetings regarding affordable housing. I think that this is highly important, and affordable housing really does fall under diversity, equity, and inclusion. So most issues do intersect. It's very hard to take any one issue and have it be all by itself. Education intersects with diversity, equity, and inclusion. The environment intersects with diversity, equity, and inclusion. The environment intersects with education. So we're doing a lot of things, but the top three, that will be what we focus on in the 2021-2022 year. So other activities that you could be involved in. There's really something for everyone in our league. So we have a group we call our Observer Corps, and that's exactly what it sounds like. And that is, we train you to go sit in meetings. And the great thing about COVID, there's not been a lot great, but one great thing has been that we've been able, that so many of these public board meetings, these government, park district meetings and library board meetings and village board meetings, they're all now online. They're on Zoom. So you can sit in your pajamas, having your glass of wine, watching these meetings. But the idea is that you observe, somebody would observe those meetings on a monthly basis and then report back. If there's anything to report back, say, oh my gosh, there's a new development going up. We need to have somebody go and talk about affordable housing, or there's a new development going up and it looks like it's really going to make an impact on the environment in the area. We need to go and do something. So that intersects with all of that political action. We do legislative interviews. So a couple years ago, if you had followed if you are currently following what's going on with the Equal Rights Amendment, a few years ago, we were able to pass that in the state of Illinois. Well, prior to the legislative session, we had interviewed the legislators that cover our area, and we found out where they stood on all sorts of issues, lots of issues. We asked them lots of questions. We make a report, and then we know, oh, there's this bill coming up on the ERA. I already know that they're going to vote for it. I don't need to bother. Let me spend my energy someplace else. But we knew based on those legislative interviews that at the time our state senator was Tom Rooney, a Republican, great guy. I have a great relationship with him. I really liked him. Of course, I love Ann Gillespie, our current senator. But Tom was a really great guy. But I knew he was really on the fence about the ERA. So we sat down, we had a long conversation, not just me, but some other league members. And he voted for the ERA. I was really proud of that. Then afterwards, he told me, he said, about 7 of those yes votes would have been no if it had not been for the lobbying of the League of Women Voters. Most people respect and understand that we are nonpartisan. So a lot of people will say, oh, but you have a stance on the environment, or, oh, you have, okay, I'm sorry, but those issues, they're nonpartisan. We all need clean water. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. We all need clean air. My father is he's a lifelong NRA member, but he is also a lifelong Sierra Club member. So I do know that if we work hard at that, we can bridge all of those divides. Communications, we got to get the word out. So we've got a newsletter, we're on Facebook, we've got a website, we're on Zoom. I mean, all of these different things, and this takes people. We need help doing it. We also have youth services. We as a league have one of the largest emerging leaders groups. That's anybody 26 and under. And we work really hard to make them feel engaged and involved. Again, I don't think if you wait till someone's 18 to try to engage them in this process, you've lost them. You've got to get them as early as you can get them. Right now, our youngest member is 10. We actually have a board member who is a student. She's 15. She's a sophomore at Prospect High School. She's been a member of our league since she was 13. I'm really proud of her. We do scout services. So I'm not a lifelong, but my daughter was a Girl Scout. I was her leader from the time she was in kindergarten all the way through to her Gold Award. And so there are 4 or 5 badges and activities that like there's a suffrage badge. There's every single level of scouting has a democracy badge, a civics badge. And so I have developed lessons where we can go in and it's about an hour and a half long, and do all the activities around those. And then we also pay for the badges. So it's just a service to engage with our community. And then of course, like I said, fundraising, because we only keep about $10 per member. And so that's a big need that we are always needing to raise money. But you can't be 100% volunteer organization. We are all volunteers. None of us get paid without some fun. So 1,000 years ago, I was a teacher, and I really do believe people learn better when they're having fun. So how do we have fun? Well, we have book clubs, and sometimes we're, talking about, a lot of times, very serious stuff, but we're getting together, we're enjoying each other's company, we're getting to know each other, we're a tribe. We have podcast club, holiday parties, election watch parties, wine tastings, movie nights, and we've been able to have all of these things, even in the midst of COVID and this pandemic. We have utilized Zoom for all of these things, really have not missed a beat. The other thing, last night we had our first cooking class. We know that one of the biggest impacts on the environment is animals and animal byproducts. And so if we can reduce the amount of animals that we eat, we can actually have a better impact on the environment. So we started a vegetarian series of cooking classes. We've got 5 more coming up. We're going to put this first one that we had last night on our YouTube. That one was free. The rest will be paid. So we're really excited about that. And then, of course, community outreach. We have civics clubs. We, pre-pandemic, we were at Rolling Meadows High School, South Middle School, and Thomas Middle School. We're just starting to really grow that program. Pandemic has pretty much put a pause on that, but we do believe that this will come back. And I'm really proud of those. It gives kids an opportunity to have a safe place to have some of these really hard conversations. But at South Middle School, these young women made a decision to rewrite their own dress code. If you followed any dress codes, most of them are pretty sexist and misogynist. And they rewrote it and worked with the administration and had it passed. And it's now in their handbook, the one that they wrote. So I'm really proud of that. Again, we do the Scout Civics badges. We offer support to the District 214 newcomer. The last couple of years, we've given every student a gift at the holiday. Not only do we do our own candidate forums, but we've supported students who've wanted to do candidate forums at Elk Grove High School, Wheeling High School, and Rolling Meadows High Schools, and like to do more of that. We offer educator support. I've done classes for educators on basically how do we have hard conversations in our classrooms without kids feeling unsafe. We support the citizenship program in District 214. The young woman who you see this picture of, Lucy, she is our board member. Up until we signed up somebody who was 10 years old this year, she was our youngest member. She joined when she was 13. But she actually wrote a presentation on the Constitution that we give every year for the citizenship classes in District 214. We've also done advocacy classes. I happen to be a natural born advocate. Not everybody is. So we try to teach that as a skill. And then our partnerships are very important. And this is something that we've been embarking on. Viter House of Hospitality. If you don't know who they are, they're amazing. They are a place for young men to live while they are seeking asylum instead of having to be in basically lockup. And they do a really great job. And then the Trickster Cultural Center, which is a Native American cultural center in Schaumburg, which is a newer partnership for us. And even though Schaumburg isn't in our league, the Native American population is served in all of Chicagoland by the Trickster Cultural Center. And so they're having relationships with lots of leagues. I think we were one of the first, but really amazing center. They just reopened, so I highly recommend you check it out. And then of course you follow us, right? So we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn. We've got a website. We are redoing our website. So if you go there, we've got a lot. Hopefully we'll be launching this new website in May. So it will be much easier to use, because right now, if you want to become a member, and I do hope you want to become a member, you go, you hit join, you fill out the Google form, and we're using all free platforms. And then you have to go back to the same, you go back to the link to hit the payment. It's kind of a pain, but we're working on that. And I never miss an opportunity to show my cute little dog. This is Sloan. She's my rescued greyhound. We have 2 rescued greyhounds, Sloan and Gus. And I did get a custom-made vote coat for them, so that they can also encourage people to vote. But they have their own Instagram feed where they vote for things all the time. We even have a student Instagram feed, student.lwv-AH. And almost all of our social media is run by students. So I'm very proud of that, to get them involved. And then that's it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Now we'll have some time for questions and answers. Thank you so much.
I have a question when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. So one of the ways that I see League of Women Voters and United Methodist Women really joining, crossing paths, dovetailing, whatever, is in your social justice events and your education and the passion that the League has. Even though you're nonpartisan, I know that this year, even just this year, or since COVID began and we had to do everything on Zoom, we've done several book clubs and other Zoom presentations. Can you tell me how many, well, twofold. What do you have going forward? I know this coming next week, I think it's next Friday, you've got the book club meeting, and that's open, I believe, to anyone that would like to join. And then how many positions in the local league do you have that are heading up things like an initiative like the environmental initiative, or Black Lives Matter initiative, or voter suppression and voting rights initiatives?
So in our local league, I will be completely upfront. We don't have anyone who's doing voter suppression, and that's really because in the state of Illinois, there's virtually no voter suppression. I'm not going to say there's none, but it is not a huge issue in the state of Illinois. The National League does a lot with that. I don't even think our state league has anyone in charge of that. Now, getting people educated, there's voter suppression in that people don't know what their rights are to vote. I mean, I don't think most people know, and I didn't know this until we did a presentation on National Voter Disability Act, or no, wait a minute, National Disability Voter Registration Day. It's a lot. That if, let's say, you cannot, like my dad has Parkinson's, he has dementia, he can still vote. Just because he has dementia does not mean he cannot vote. Now, he has a very hard time getting in and out of the car. They have to bring the voting booth to him. Now, I have a young woman who I've trained, I've been a personal trainer of hers since she was 8. And when she turned 18, she has disabilities, both physical and mental, but she can understand, but she cannot manage the screen. I sat right next to her. Now, I didn't tell her how to vote, but you can have help in the voting booth. Now, that is how people, I think, are suppressed, is that they think they cannot have anyone helping them, but you absolutely can. The difference is I can't tell you how to vote. And so if she said, I don't know, then I just skipped that office, right? Okay, so that's voting suppression, voting rights. We have a board director for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Her name is Karen Thomas. And she just had a meeting this morning with District 214, and we're doing quite a bit with that. We have our book club that is reading Cast. But at this point, what we recognize in our league is that we absolutely must address policies and procedures. Changing minds, great, fine, right? But we have to change the policies and the procedures. And so that is what our DEI group is starting to do. What we will start having regular meetings twice a month. Next Monday is our first one. And we're going to be splitting into 3 groups. One will be looking at policy. One will be looking at educational events, like we had our Through Our Eyes event, where we welcomed students to tell their stories of how they have experienced racism and bias in our community. And we also did one for adults. And then we will have one, so policy, programs. There's one more and it's not coming to me.
Okay.
And then the last question you had was in the environment. We have about 10 or 12 people on our environmental team. We have somebody who's in charge of water, somebody who's in charge of trees, somebody who is basically in charge of all of it. And so we do educational programs on that. We will lobby. Again, it's got to be policy. One of our board members, we have a youth board member, an emerging leader board member, Lucy Nisi. She's 15. And she also is on the Arlington Heights Environmental Commission. So we do, and I think 2 of our members, because they were members, were able to get internships with legislators that they have already started. One of them is a member of the Methodist Church. So that, and anybody can be a member of those committees. And basically when people come to me and say, hey, this is my passion, if we have a policy on it and they have a passion, I'll say, what do you need? Let's do it. I very rarely say no. It's like my strength, and it's probably like maybe not so good, but it's good. It's fine.
Well, of all the people I know, you can stretch yourself awfully thin before it's even noticeable. So that's excellent. Okay, I should let other people ask a question first. Go ahead.
I think Jean had her hand up.
Yeah, let me see if I'm unmuted. Yeah. Back in the early 70s, I was very active in my league back outside of Buffalo, New York. And we had a study on funding of education. And I remember that our consensus of our group was that we should have funding of education based on income. And it went all the way to the federal level. And so that it was a position of the league nationally. So I don't know if that's still standing, but at the time, Hawaii was the only state that had completely based upon income, because property tax is inequitable for children. And so New York State made somewhat a progressive move in the fact that when we submitted our property tax, we had to put down they had to put in our zip code so they could see what was the average income in the zip code. Ergo, the amount of aid that we got was based upon that. So as a result, in Williamsville, we got 10% state aid, and in Buffalo, they got 90%. So there was some, equitable. But then, because I was so excited about funding of education, I ran for the school board, and then I never finished my league work. So I had 14 years. There were 10,000 students in our district, so it was a busy time. But I really loved, and the other thing is when I ran for the school board, I knew more about education than any other candidates, because you really learn a lot when you're in charge of a study for the league.
Oh, absolutely. And I will say that's really my story with how did I get involved in league in the first place is because of education. Was it 12 years ago when Common Core was coming? The League of Women Voters did a study on the Common Core, did a presentation. Locally, they did a presentation at the Arlington Heights Memorial Library. And I was at the time teaching aqua classes. And one of my participants said, oh, you should come to this. Because I talk about my kids all the time. She says, you have little kids, you should come to this. And I was like, oh, I don't want to go to one more thing, but I can't complain about it if I don't go. So I went, and I was like, I felt so much smarter. I was like, oh. And then what happened was all of my friends would be complaining about the Common Core, and I'd be able to go, well, actually, because I knew what the league had not said the Common Core is good or the Common Core is bad. What the league did is they said, this is the Common Core. Now, you smart lady, how about you make up your own mind if you like it or not? And for the first time, I was like, I'm being treated like I can have an opinion and make up my own mind. That's pretty, and that's different. And so that was how I got involved. We do a lot with education. I will tell you, I absolutely agree with you on the property values. Good luck getting that passed in this area.
I know.
I mean, if somebody wanted to advocate on that very thing and be in charge of that for our league, would I be behind it? Absolutely. But
it's really a regressive tax.
It is. Yeah.
In fact, almost everything should be based upon your income.
Yeah. So anyway, but good luck. Good luck in this area. Any other questions?
Did you put up the local league website where people can see the calendar, and if they want to join a book club or a discussion or podcast or anything, they can see them there?
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, so one of the questions was about being in Lake County, Buffalo Grove. So no, so here's the thing about league membership is that you can join pretty much whatever league you want. So let's say your best friend lives in New Jersey and you want to join the New Jersey League, go for it. I don't know that that's going to do you much good, but our secretary lives in Northbrook. Her home league is really the Deerfield League, but we do things that she likes and she happens to be friends with me. And so she is in our league. The past president of the Palatine League lived in Arlington Heights, but she had friends in the Palatine League and at the time liked some of the stuff. The Palatine League at the time was stronger than our league. And so that's one of the reasons she joined the Palatine League. You literally join whatever league you want. So we have some Buffalo Grove people who belong to the Deerfield League and some that belong to our league. But technically Buffalo Grove is in the Arlington Heights League. But you can join whatever you want to join. Does that help? Anyone else? This is our website. Oh, I keep texting to Beth and not everyone. Sorry. Oh, I cracked myself up. There, that's our website. And on that website, and like I said, we are going to be relaunching a brand new website in May. And maybe earlier, but right now the goal is to get it done by our annual meeting, May 13th. And but on there, unfortunately, because we've been utilizing all free sites and all free platforms, like you go and you fill out a Google form as membership, and then you have to go back to the same link to pay. So anyway, it's kind of, it's a little bit of a pain, but we're working on that. Progress. My motto in my whole entire life is progress, not perfection. If we're looking for perfection, we're never going to get anything done, and we're about getting stuff done.
Excellent. I love it. Any further questions? Heidi, this was incredibly informative and entertaining as always. I really appreciate everyone joining, and we will put this up so our members can see the video when you send it to us, and then you can have it up there for the league as well.
Yes, and I will get that done later this afternoon, but I got to get my mom and dad lunch.
Yes, all right. Thank you, my dear.
Thank you very much. And I'll put up my, real quick, I'll put up my email. If anybody wants to email me, you can. Of course, I've got to be able to spell it right.
And you can also ask me if you want to contact Heidi.
So sometimes I'm a little slow answering emails, but like I said, I just hired a personal assistant who's going to start helping me with that.
Good. Wonderful. Thank you again. Everyone have a wonderful day.